These are the Motif 2 active noise cancelling earbuds from Marshall. Now, you might be more familiar with Marshall as makers of guitar amps, but they're also into headphones and earbuds these days. I think that Marshall have gone to town with some really impressive packaging right from the start to indicate that this is indeed a quality product. Inside you'll find the case, the buds and a short USB charging cable, which seems to be standard these days. You'll also find 2 extra pairs of ear tips, small and large, with the medium pair already being fitted as standard. The case itself has roughly the same dimensions as the AirPods Pro 2 and has USB and wireless charging. It has that dinosaur leather look similar to Marshall's guitar amps, but actually feels much lighter in the hand than its rugged look suggests. And that ruggedness, along with the IPX4 splash resistance rating, means that I won't be needing a protective slipcase of any kind. The Marshall logo is proudly emblazoned on the front, and the Bluetooth pairing button is nicely accessible just below it. I even like the way this button is designed, with some nice concentric circles for grip and texture. They're not absolutely necessary, but they look great. You get 30 hours listening time in total, including the case, and 6 hours from the buds themselves, making them pretty much on a par with the AirPods Pro 2. And just plugging them in for 15 minutes gives you 1 hour's charge. And after 2 weeks of using these buds every single day, I can say that those statements are indeed true. The rugged look and feel continues with the earbuds themselves, and the gold tips on the microphone housings have the same concentric circles and are a really nice retro touch. Even the stems have some really nice detail with this knurled pattern etched into them, which funnily enough even stretches to the charging cable. I think that Marshall have really hit the nail on the head with this design. It looks fantastic, and it was a big deciding factor in my purchase. I also like the fact that when you do take them out of your ears, music stops playing automatically, and that still isn't a feature on an awful lot of earbuds. As I've said before, I much prefer the stem design of earbuds. They just seem more ergonomic and they tend to stay in my ears more easily. Once in your ears, the stems of the Motif 2s stick out a bit more than they normally would with other face-hugging designs, making you look a bit like a Star Trek communications officer, but that's fine with me because I'm a big Star Trek fan. As you know, I'm not a big fan of touch controls on earbuds. Every single manufacturer tends to have their own language on how to use them, and I just find them very fiddly and would much rather either just use my phone or my voice assistant of choice. But the good news is that you don't have to use a lot of pressure to activate them, but simply rest your finger or tap it lightly at the top of the stem. You can easily also customize all of the touch controls from within the app. As an Apple user, I was relieved to find that you can use Siri control on these earbuds, but you must remember to turn it on from within the app. However, unlike the AirPods Pro 2 and the massive convenience of the Apple ecosystem, you can't just start talking. You still have to long press on one earbud or another in order to summon the voice assistant of your choice. Bluetooth connectivity is excellent, with the Motif 2s picking up all of your paired devices at lightning speed, although the Marshall app does take a few moments longer to load than other brands I've used. But forgetting looks and ergonomics for the moment, how do these things actually sound? Well, pretty good with a few exceptions. Now, I'll be honest here and say that when I first took the Motif 2s out of their box and was listening to the first couple of tracks, my review of the sound quality was going to be pretty harsh. For my own taste, I found that bass boost and the mid-reduction settings were the only ones that came anywhere near giving me the sound quality that I would expect from a £180 pair of earbuds. As for all the other presets, including surprisingly the Marshall sound, I found them to be lacking in any real punch at all, and in some cases sounding downright tinny. And when using the custom EQ, I found that I ended up setting it almost exactly to the bass boost sound anyway. And I think that's probably the setting that most people will be using for these earbuds. And in general, I found that no matter what sound setting I was in, I had to boost the volume a lot more than I normally would with my AirPods. And I think that's probably because at £50 cheaper than, let's say, the AirPods Pro 2, the Marshalls are bound to have weaker drivers. Now, as the days have gone by, my opinion of the sound quality of these earbuds has in general become more favourable, but at the same time, that sound quality does vary a lot depending on what you're listening to, be that rock, pop or podcasts. I find I have to tweak the EQ or change between bass boost and mid-reduction accordingly for the best listening experience. Now, once you've tweaked these things to your listening taste, they can sound great, but I did just find myself wishing that they sounded great straight out of the box and across all genres like my AirPods. Having sorted out my basic listening experience, what I was really shocked by was the lack of quality when it came to noise cancelling and transparency modes. Now, other reviewers have raved about the quality of the noise cancelling on these earbuds, but I really don't know what they're talking about because, as far as I was concerned, whether I had noise cancelling turned on or off, I couldn't notice any difference in the amount of ambient noise coming into my ears whatsoever. Transparency mode didn't perform that much better, and when I made calls using it, the person at the other end sounded absolutely fine, but I couldn't hear my own voice. Unlike with my AirPods, where all calls in transparency mode are absolutely superb, and you can hear yourself as clear as a bell. But here I really don't think I'm being too harsh on the Motif 2s, because when it comes to transparency mode, nobody seems to do it as well as Apple. Another odd thing is that when I did switch to the off mode, sound quality in general became noticeably worse, no matter what I was listening to, and even in quiet environments. Now, believe me, I have messed around with the Motif app trying to improve these things for a long time, but with no success. But who knows, maybe I just got a defective pair, or there's some kind of glitch going on between my Marshalls and the phone. So what's my final verdict on the Marshall Motif 2s? Now, if I was only judging them in terms of looks, I would say that they win hands down. They're probably the best set of earbuds I've seen all year. They feel and look like a quality item, and they're certainly really comfortable to wear for hours on end. If you're very patient, probably a bit more patient than me, and you don't mind switching between EQs and presets depending on what you're listening to, then you can get really good sound out of these buds. Once you've tweaked the settings to exactly the way you want them, the bass is rich and strong, the mid-tones are good and clear, and the high end does not distort at all. But where they're a letdown as far as I'm concerned is in sheer value for money. I expect a £180 pair of earbuds to be at the very highest end of the spectrum when it comes to sound quality. The noise cancelling isn't just a little bit worse than my AirPods Pro 2, it's a lot worse, and the same goes for transparency mode. And furthermore, I was really surprised that in terms of noise cancelling and transparency, even the Earfun Pro 3, which I tested a couple of months ago, costing £50, sound better. However, if you still love the look of the Marshalls and want to make up your own mind about the sound quality, then I would strongly advise you to wait until they're on sale or special offer. Well, what can I say? I really wanted to feel as if I couldn't do without the Marshall Motif 2s, especially given Marshall's pedigree, but that just hasn't happened. But as usual, I'd like to have your honest opinion. What do you feel about the Marshall Motif 2s? Are you considering getting a pair, or do you own a pair and now you feel you can't live without them? Just let me know in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, then please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.